Hey guys, it's Navelle J. Lee, and welcome into a new edition of the BUZZCast here at Buzzworthy Radio as we continue with our coverage of the 39th Annual Santa Barbara International Film Festival. The next movie that we had the pleasure of taking part in with interviewing the directors, SUZE. This was a fun movie to watch. I'm not going to front you. I couldn't say enough about it. It was written and directed by Linsey Stewart and Dane Clark, and it premiered in Canada initially, and now it's here in the States. And it follows a woman. Her name is Susan. And we talked about how we use the phrase coming of age for those younger, as in their teen years. But you can actually use that for this in this movie when it's a grown woman who is dealing with the fact that her daughter has moved away to a different place for college and is actually now living with somebody because he needs to be looked over that she doesn't really like. And she goes on her own personal journey. She learns a lot of things along the way, not just about herself, but also with the person that is living with her. And it's just, I loved every bit of this movie because there was just so many parts in here that stood out to me just because they were funny, just because they were realistic, and also because it was just so entertaining. So I had so much fun talking to Lindsay and Dane about this. So here it is, our interview with Linsey Stewart and Dane Clark about SUZE. Take a listen. You guys did this movie called SUZE, and this is the, if I correct me if I'm wrong, this is the North American premiere.
Yes.
No, American.
Oh, American.
Yeah,
American, American.
Yeah.
United States of America. We're Canadian, so we live in we're in Toronto right now. So we've played some places in Canada, but not
But not
America.
here in the States. This is actually
Correct.
going to be the first time in the
Yes.
States. And it was released in September of 23.
That's when we first started playing festivals, but we haven't had our theatrical release in Canada yet, which is going to be at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I got to watch this film in its entirety. And you know what? I'm going to be honestly blunt about these characters. Well, first of all, I need to start off with the actor who plays Gage. Um, he really stole the movie for me. He's such an incredible actor, Charlie Gillespie, and what a set of pipes on him as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he can belt out a tune like nobody's business. And when he did that rendition of the song, it was just absolutely mesmerizing when he was playing it on the piano. That was just absolutely phenomenal. So I needed to start off with saying that about him. He
Agreed.
he absolutely was amazing in this film, number one. Uh,
Yeah.
the second thing I want to mention is that Brooke, in no uncertain terms, even though it was said in the film, she is a stuck-up bitch.
Yeah.
And, and I
You
say
want to
that,
punch her?
again, it's said in the film, so I am just reiterating what Susan said about her own daughter. But
That's she's not the first and she won't be the last to say about her daughter.
probably not. And it was just a satisfying moment when she finally got to say that to her daughter. Watching this film and getting to that point, as much as Susan really tried her best to be that perfect mother figure to her daughter,
Yeah.
and her daughter literally just Brooke was just literally just cursing her away to the point where she actually told her that I moved away just to get away from you. Like she really had
Yeah.
nothing, wanting nothing to do with her. And she was trying so hard. And finally, that moment, once the climax of everything hit, and she finally got to say that, I just sat there and I was smiling proud because it literally was what took you so long, but
Totally.
it's
And can I trust these filmmakers? Because if they don't acknowledge, it's a slippery slope, right? When you do something with a character that some people are going to find unlikable, is, ooh, they've lost me because I don't buy that this teen daughter can be like this or a mother's going to tolerate this. But in this particular context and situation, Suze is going to tolerate it because she's all she has.
yeah,
And she smothers her as a result, and Brooke resents that smothering as a result. So I have a lot of empathy for Brooke in ways that maybe other people don't, just because that sucks to be a teen person and be the world to a parent, and that's not where your head's at when you're a teenage. You don't want that sort of responsibility. So all to say is yes, we knew we had to get to that moment, because if we didn't, people would be like, these guys live on a different planet.
And we're glad you felt that too. Like it's been fun, like when in theaters when you see it sometimes, like
Yeah.
the audience will start clapping at that point, just like finally
Yeah.
you called her a bitch.
Yeah.
I did. It's funny, Lindsay, you said that because I immediately thought in my head, like, is it not going to get to that point to where she said that? Because I knew I was getting to the end of the film and it wasn't coming, and
Yeah.
it wasn't there yet. And I literally just sat there going, like, is she not going to do this? Is she not actually going to say this?
Yeah.
And when it happened, as Dane said, I was smiling, I was applauding because it actually did happen. Where my mind was going, I didn't think it was. And
Mhm.
like I said, it was such satisfying for that to happen because it needed to happen. There had to
Yeah.
been some type of co confrontation, maybe a word. It's probably not the word I wanted to use for that. But it definitely fit because how Gage and SUZE were in the movie, from her really not liking him in the beginning to the point where she got to know him as a person and understand him as a person, because I feel like their worlds intertwine because she, as you were saying, both of you were saying how she was smothering Brooke and everything and whatnot,
Mhm.
but that love wasn't really reciprocated from Brooke to SUZE. But in here it is with Gage on the other side of the spectrum. He's had a hard life. His mom is
Yeah.
is in prison. The father really is a deadbeat. He
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
doesn't want his son around, and he's looking for love. And
Mhm.
their worlds now kind of collided because now for me, it was like she was able to give the love that she was giving to Brooke and getting it back. And
Yeah.
Gage is now getting that love he's always wanted growing up and having that
Totally.
support system growing up. He's now finding it with her. And
Yeah.
it was
Absolutely.
just such a great way to tell this story, how these two people who you think are different are actually not different at all.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that's well
Yeah,
said.
very well said.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was our intention too, obviously, is like there's so much, division and judgment that we have in the world against people when we first meet them as well. And it's like a lot of those, if you get to know people, it's like they're not as bad as you made up in your head. Of course, some of them are, but generally,
Yeah.
like this one, we just love that judgment of like she thinks that this kid's not good enough for her daughter, but it's
Hmm.
actually the opposite. And that he is a good person underneath there. He's just a bit of a doofus on the outside, and she hasn't peeled back the layers and seen that he's just a good kid that's broken
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
needs her love, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Somebody to love.
yeah, he definitely was broken, but as you said, those layers were finally peeled off and she finally got to understand him, let alone the fact really resonate with him just as much as he resonated with her. And it was just great beats that were being played in this film. And I don't, and spoiler alert for everybody who is watching and listening to this, the opening scene of the movie is the way that it opened, it probably is going to grab a lot of people's attention because
Mhm.
I just said, "Oh, that's where we're going with this." Okay, that's what's happening. All right, what else is going to come from this? But
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that was just the perfect opening scene of the film.
Okay.
And of course, I will say this too. It will, when you get the chance to see it, everybody who's listening and watching, you'll just hear the sounds. You won't see the picture yet. So you're listening to this happen. Of course, I'm not spoiling exactly what it is that you're hearing, but when you hear it, you'll know. And even then,
Absolutely.
it was just like, oh, wow. Well, I know what's happening. And then I see it, and I was like, but I did not expect it to be what is happening?
Yeah,
My
That makes
favorite,
sense.
not to pat myself on the back at all, but there's a very subtle line when I don't know if you even picked it up because sometimes people are laughing in this moment, but he introduces the woman that you were talking about as his golf pro. And I just think that's the stupidest thing in the world. Not because you can't be a female and a golf pro, but it's just such a specific
Yeah.
thing to say in the heat of the moment of though like maybe that was gonna make the situation
That
better.
was just gonna make it better.
Yeah.
I did catch him saying how he introduced her, but not how he introduced her. Like I
Yes.
heard him say something, but I didn't catch what it
Yeah.
was. So even
yeah,
then,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, bro, like,
Mhm.
shut up.
Yeah, she's a golf pro. She's a very incredible golf player.
That was just I was just like defining moment right there. And
Yeah.
I also felt too in this as well, another spoiler for everybody, but we might drop this as well because there was that point where Gage and Suze were in the car, they were driving to Toronto, and she decides to and she was telling the story about her and her husband and what happened there. And I was just sitting there going, like, this is also another catalyst, probably in my frame of mind, as to why Brooke is the way she is.
Yeah.
totally.
I think that also played a part. So I kind of, in one aspect, I kind of wanted that to be revealed to her, but in the other aspect, I was like, it's not really probably going to make any difference.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's part of Suze's fault too,
yeah.
right? In a way, it was like she coddled her, she spoiled her, she babied her, she's partly responsible for,
Mhm.
her behavior as well, because that's the beast that she fed.
Yeah.
And so, but it's that hard balance of just like, yeah, I'm sure like we're not parents, but everybody has issues with their parents. And it's like it's an impossible thing to do, I imagine, or at least I haven't met anybody,
Mhm.
to like be the perfect parent and not make any mistakes and like tell your kids all of the perfect things that aren't going to damage them at all. And it's like, how do you know until it's all over?
Yeah. And the length that she's willing to go to protect her kid, I
Yeah,
find so heartbreaking too.
her intentions are good. They're
Yeah.
just probably not the best for
Yeah.
either of them.
I
Yeah.
will I will say that I did find it comical that Suze went to a cuddle party.
Right.
Went to a
Yeah.
cuddle party and she's eating a cold plate of spaghetti.
Yes. Well, it's a very Gage place to take a 50-year-old perimenopausal woman, if you ask me. Just,
I mean, he said that she was sad, so
yeah.
Yeah.
needed to go to a literally a cuddle party in order to feel better. And I was just like, this is either going to end up well or this is just going to be very embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it surprisingly ended up well for her. So I was like,
Yeah.
proud of
Yeah.
you.
No, I wanted to put her in a place that was just like, the idea of cuddle parties for us. I love them. I love that they exist. But for me, like they're not like I'm more Suze in that situation where it's just like that's like,
Strange bodies
yeah, I
and
need to
touching.
I
Yeah.
need to know somebody before I'm gonna cuddle them. And so we're just like Gage's character, he'll cuddle anybody, he's
I was gonna
great.
say he's just go right
Yeah,
ahead.
Yeah.
he's just spooning everybody, no
Yeah.
problem. But yeah, Suze has her walls up a little bit more, and you're like, this isn't necessarily for her, which is a good, like, uncomfortable position to put her in.
Mhm.
I give you a scalp massage. I think once that line was said, I just like, well, I don't ever want anyone touching my head.
No,
No.
no. Even being in that room and knowing that this was something that we had created, not cuddle parties, of course, existing for a while now, but just that these were hired actors, I was still creeped out.
You were still creeped out.
Absolutely.
That's too funny. I mean, I was just literally looking at it and I was going like, I know these exist because I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just watching them with these actors. I'm going like, y'all really went in and sold this like no tomorrow because it literally felt like this was a real cuddle party.
Yeah.
Those filled with actors, and I was just like, oh no, I don't want you to touch me.
Yeah.
Well, and shout out to our production designer Mercedes, and her team who put that room together and like nailed it. Because I always remember saying like, this is one to have fun with. Like if I did what you did, this would be the one that made me excited to, and again, be terrified and creeped out.
That's right.
Yeah.
How long
Nailed it.
did this project take to officially come together? How long have you worked on it? And then once the filming process began, how long did it take to film?
We kind of came up with the idea about like 5 years ago. I guess it's six now. But from idea to like send it to the producer Matt Code that we have worked with on a short film before,
And wildly.
and Wildly.
Mhm.
And we sent it to him, and thankfully he liked it enough to work with us and develop it. But that was about 5 years from that started till production started. And then the shooting schedule was 21 days. Sorry, my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21 days, which was almost enough.
Yeah.
We can always use more,
Yeah.
right? You always want more. There's never enough, but we got it done. What were you gonna say?
I don't, did I seem like I was gonna say something?
Oh.
It's funny, I was like, looking at you, and it's like I've never looked at Zoom before. I've never over the internet.
Way
No,
of life now.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is sort of like quick in some aspects to, a 5-year timeline to get a movie off the ground. But yeah, I mean, we worked with Wildling, Matt, Code, and Christy, and Nat, and all these great people over at Wildling to help us kind of cultivate the film. And it took a few years to get the funding. In Canada, we're fortunate that we have some sources that we can tap into. It's not a guarantee in any capacity, but you apply and you hope. And then we finally got a little bit thrown our way, and that's got us off to the races. And then, got into all the other things, all the other problems that turned out great. But,
Yeah.
how do we then cast it? Who's available? Where do we shoot? Someone has one day and we need them for 10. So, good times.
Well, you made it work. You actually got a roster of people who are just absolutely phenomenal and play their parts well. If they didn't, I probably wouldn't feel so passionate about these characters the way that I felt in this conversation. And they sold it. They sold it completely. And as much as I felt the way I did about Brooke, that actress played that part so well that I felt it was way too realistic.
Yeah.
And it's funny and not funny, but it's funny in an ironic way that it definitely felt so real, because every time SUZE was talking to her daughter, she was on her phone, and I'm just going like, this is a thing. Like this is a thing. Like there were just little nuances that I was just like watching, and I'm going like these things actually are happening. So I'm just literally going, oh my God, this is legit. This is the thing with teens. That stuff with the phone and the way they post on social media, especially in the Gage situation and what happened when she went away to college. Like all of this stuff, I'm just looking at it as like, these are little things that maybe not everybody's going to pick up on right away. But when you see it, it's like, oh my God, I'm either living this life now, or I know somebody who's going through that in that life. It's
right.
So that was another part of it as to why I probably felt passionate about her, is because I know how real that is, and that's sad.
Sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
agree.
I mean, to be frank, I mean, she's a composite of sort of two sides of us. So my side is my niece, who I'm terrified to watch this film because she's heard that, Brooke is sort of pulled from my niece, and how she sort of embodies. I mean, again, it's a loose interpretation, but it's just years of observing her. So I think she's going to be horrified, because of course this is the heightened version of it all, but I definitely inspiration. And then Dane has two sisters that are younger, and they are amazing people, but they definitely gave your mom a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say
Yeah,
it
like it's just,
carefully.
yeah, she just said some terrible things to my mom, and it's like we wanted to reflect that. And our fear was that she was going to be too one-dimensional, and thankfully Sarah Weiss-Glass, who's the
Yeah.
actress that portrayed her, just like brought her to life and brought some layers so that she was still,
Real.
yeah, still
Yeah.
real, feeling that pain. It's like she still is like kind of a caricature in a way where you're just like, does this person exist? And you're like, yeah, we know her.
Right.
But it's hard to
Yeah.
yeah, she brought her to life, so we were grateful.
And her and
for her.
Michaela, sorry to cut you off,
Yeah.
her and Michaela had like such incredible chemistry together, as not only do I think they kind of look like they could be related, they just had a love for each other off the top, which was almost sort of like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
you guys don't have this real affection in the movie, but off camera, like you
You're
couldn't.
like, scale that back a little bit and
Yeah,
act like this, like you really hate your mother.
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, real method, full method, just hate each other. But thankfully they're actors, so
Yeah,
they can do it all.
They can do everything.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, how was the reaction like when you got this into SBIFF, when it was accepted into SBIFF? What was your initial reaction to
Relief.
that?
And thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was definitely, we're very excited to play there. It's a great festival. From what we haven't been, but we've heard great things about it and have had friends that have played it and just said wonderful things about it. So yeah, we're thrilled that it's playing there, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get some good audience.
And Michaela just lives close to Santa Barbara. So it's exciting for her to kind of be on home turf and have a lot of her people come, and we're all just so proud of it and just can't wait for people to see it. So that's the thing, it's a new audience. We've been fortunate to show it a lot around in Canada, and now we're just really excited to get your people to see it because it's time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good for those that are going to be attending this festival. And as you said, I said it to you already, this is my first time even in this kind of capacity taking part in it and reviewing some of these movies that I'm getting pitched, and it's been wonderful. Documentaries are my thing, and then
Thanks.
and seeing films like this where some feel like it's like a coming of age story, and we can probably say that about this as well, because SUZE is trying to deal with being an empty nester. Her daughter's leaving, and now she's trying to find ways to cope with that her daughter is not home, because she had smothered her. Like, she was literally calling her at least like 15 times a day. That might be an exaggeration, it might not be.
Probably not.
It might be more than that, but
Yeah.
it's like she literally was constantly like calling her daughter every single day, and then it was just this whole new aspect in her life with Gage, and then with the teacher, and then it just like everything just
Yeah.
opened up a lot of doors for her, which I really felt was phenomenal in ways that I was just so happy for the character that she was able to evolve, and then she was able to be comfortable in her own skin when she was dressing up in her daughter's clothes. And I mean, hey, she did the damn thing. So I'm like, go ahead, dude. Like, go ahead, man. Like, this is your life now. Do it.
Yeah.
So I was happy that she was able to evolve and get a little bit more comfortable, and especially getting to know Gabe and understanding Gage, and I said Gabe, excuse me, Gage.
Yeah.
It like rolled off the tongue so easily.
Yeah.
But I think that was just a great coming of age story, and those types of stories for me as well just resonate with me, because it's either I've lived this life,
Yeah.
or I know people who have lived this life, and just watching this play on screen, it's absolutely fantastic. And you have the talent to back it up, and it was absolutely a phenomenal film. I was very happy to watch it and get the chance to talk to you two about it. So
thank you so much. We're thrilled that you watched it, and we get to chat with you. Yeah, and connected to it too, because that's the whole point of what we hope is that it's just human.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like
very human.
Not the story of our lives. It's not autobiographical or anything. It's like just people that we hope audience will care about and empathize with and go on a journey with, and then hope their lives feel a little bit better at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's it. And, you know, I think just touching on something that you said earlier, you've experienced something like this. I think that's great because I think the intention with SUZE is you don't have to be a 50-year-old woman stuck with an 18-year-old obnoxious kid for a good portion of the movie to feel this. I think it's about just feeling a connection to the people that can pull us out of these dark moments in life.
Mhm.
And they're never who you think they're going to be,
Mhm.
and they're rare when they happen, but you never forget the significance and the impact that they place on your lives. And so that's really what our hope with that movie was, is who are those people that, and how do we pay tribute to the people that pull us out of our darkness?
I think that is such a perfect statement because for me in my life, I mean, I have people in my life now who I consider my best friends, and people looked at it and they were going, obviously because of their personalities,
Yeah.
they literally were saying to me, "I can't believe that you will be best friends with this person. I can't believe
Mhm.
it. Like, why are you friends with this person?" And it's they brought me out of something that
Yeah.
I'll never be able to forget, and they ride or die with me so hard.
Yeah.
I ride or die for them harder.
Yeah.
And if you know, so it's like looking at that as you just said, that's just perfect for me because it's like it's a type of person or people in my case that people would not feel that I would associate with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting there going like, you don't know this person the way that I know this person
That's
or
right.
these
Yeah.
people. And it's not for you to judge them just because of what you've heard on the street or just
Yeah.
because of this of their past history that's not for you to say. I know
Mhm.
who they are as the man. I know who they are now. I know who they are with their kids. I know who they are with their families. Like that to me, that's really what stuck out for me because I got to experience that and I'm so grateful that they're a part of my life because they made me a better human.
That's it.
Nice.
That's so nice.
So glad you have those people too.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, that was always the hope with those two, is those unlikely pairings and duos. And also just from a filmmaking sense of how do we do our spin on it as
yeah.
well? You
Yeah.
know, we know these sort of odd pairings have existed in film, and it's, you know, part of the canon, and we love these movies. So what was going to be our distinctive take
Right.
on all of that?
How is it
And
gonna stand out? Yeah. Of
yeah,
Yeah. How do you make it fresh?
yeah,
And yeah, like you
course.
said, coming of age is the great label for it, but we also just think coming of age is just for teenagers. And we love those other ones that explore, like, yeah, you go through different periods of your life throughout the whole thing. And this is a perimenopausal woman
yeah,
and what she's going through,
yeah,
Yeah.
which is an
yeah.
18-year-old.
And not 18-year-old. But
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. When when is it premiering at SBIFF? Is it premiering tonight or is it
So it's
It's
Saturday at 7,
yeah,
and
7:20.
yeah, so that's the 10th, February
okay.
10th, and February 11th at 4 p.m. Super Bowl Sunday.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, if you really don't want to watch the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
especially because the Eagles are not in it now, so
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have that big of an investment. Very upset about that. But if
yeah.
you would like an alternative to the Super Bowl, go to SBIF and watch this movie. You'll not be disappointed.
Thank you.
Probably
Just
Yeah.
just
gonna
leave
throw that out there.
That's what I think too. And you know, we can also do a halftime show for everyone, like,
Oh yeah.
in a Q&A if that's what it takes.
Absolutely do a halftime show.
Yeah. Cover
Just
some Usher.
You think Usher can move? No idea.
I mean, like if we could call Charlie Gillespie up right now and be like, "Do you
He
want
can
to do a half?"
move.
He can move and sing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, if you want a halftime show, I think we should get him on the horn and perform a half.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah. He can cover some Usher songs. It'll It'll be just as grand.
Yeah.
That's right. See. Now we're twisting the wheels a little bit. Let's see if we can make that
Like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
happen.
Good
Linsey and
session.
Dane, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. Fun.
Thank you, Val. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I hope we get to see you in IRL one day.
Many thanks to Linsey Stewart and Dane Clark for stopping by and talking to us about SUZE. The film premieres tomorrow, February 10th, at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, with another screening on Sunday, February 11th. So if you have time this weekend, please make sure you check this movie out. It was absolutely fantastic, very entertaining. But that's it for now. I'm Novel J. Lee, making sure you keep getting the latest buzz with Buzzworthy Radio by logging onto our website at buzzworthyradiocast.com. We're also on X as Buzzworthy Radio. Like us on our Facebook page, and you can download our podcast from iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and Amazon Music. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.